Priesthood ban is often cited as one of the most common reasons for people to apostatize from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This was the practice of denying the priesthood authority to people of color and also withholding temple ordinances from them as well. Even looking through the lens of time, it's such a repugnant and disgusting practice. There's no defending it. So why would we? Which is why it's such an easy reason to cite as a reason to apostatize from the church. Because who would defend it? Who would try to question that? What's never investigated, though, especially by those apostatizing, is the testimonies of the faithful members of color, the people that had to suffer and endure to the end under these policies. What kind of testimony did they have? How strong was their faith? Perhaps they have something to weigh in on this matter. And let's not forget either that had they been ordained as elders and gone on missions, most of the Christian world and in the United States probably would not have let them return home alive. Yeah, we probably shouldn't talk about that. A Soul So Rebellious, written by Sister Mary Frances Sturluson. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I'm going to share with you just a few pages. Would it be a ridiculous idea for you to just sit tight for a few minutes and hear a different perspective on the priesthood ban? Life was happy for me in Utah, but it was also difficult. I was frequently disillusioned by the attitude I saw in people, especially the attitudes towards my race. Despite what the saints said and taught, that we were all brothers and sisters, I still sensed that they thought I was different because I didn't have all the blessings of the gospel that they had. One night, I went to see Carousel. In this particular production, a white man had been made up black to play one of the characters. This black man was kicked out of heaven and roamed the earth as a nuisance. The audience roared constantly with laughter at his stupidity. I sat feeling not the same bitterness and hatred I had felt when people had laughed at Easy Rider, but a deep hurt. I was close to tears. I had to tell myself constantly not to cry, and I fought desperately to hold back the tears. At the end of the play, everyone but me stood to give the cast a standing ovation. Several young men were sitting next to me. One of them must have been aware of my silence throughout most of the play, because at first he stood up, but then immediately sat back down. One of his friends leaned over and asked why he wasn't standing. He quietly whispered something back to him. His friend then whispered something to the man next to him. Within seconds, all the young men sat down. When the standing ovation was over, the young man leaned over and told me he was sorry. The tears I had been holding back began to fall, and I quickly stood up and left. Outside, I thought about what had just happened. I felt a deep gratitude for the young men sitting next to me, especially the one who had apologized. He knew I had been hurt by the character in the play, and he felt sorry. Thinking about brotherly love, I felt close to him even though I didn't know his name. He was someone who knew the meaning of the pure love of Christ. It took a while for me to get over that night and to face the fact that Mormons were human, capable of faults and mistakes, even though they had the gospel and its teaching in their lives, some even from birth. One day, Mom Ellis and I went shopping for materials to start my book of remembrance. While we shopped, I questioned her about why I couldn't go through the temple, since I was female, and females could not hold the priesthood anyway. She tried to explain, but I failed to understand. Or perhaps I didn't want to. When we arrived home, I went straight to my room and closed the door. I sat for hours, feeling resentful. It just didn't seem fair that my Heavenly Father refused me blessings because of the color of my skin. I found myself questioning my decision to join the church. As I sat there, the door to my room opened. Mom Ellis walked in, quietly placed a pillow on the floor, and suggested that I ask my Heavenly Father for understanding. After that, she left. I stood up and threw the pillow against the wall. I felt bitter towards the Lord, and I didn't want to pray to him because of what I felt was his total injustice. I must have fallen asleep because when I woke up, it was dark outside and the house was still. Apparently, everyone had gone to bed. I stood up and got ready for bed in the dark. I thought of saying my prayers, but I refused to do it. I didn't have anything to say to such an unfair God. I closed my eyes and tried to sleep, but I couldn't. The Lord simply refused to let me sleep until I listened to what he had to say. Behold, I am Jesus Christ, the Son of God. I am the same that came unto mine own, and mine own received me not. I am the light which shineth in the darkness, and the darkness comprehendeth it not. Verily, verily, I say unto you, if you desire a further witness, cast your mind upon the night that you cried unto me in your heart, that you might know concerning the truth of these things. Did I not speak peace to your mind concerning the matter? What greater witness can you have than from God? Look unto me in every thought, doubt not, fear not. Be faithful, keep my commandments, and ye shall inherit the kingdom of heaven. It's from D&C 6:21-23, 36-37. Hours later, I still lay sobbing. Maybe I couldn't enter the temple, but there was still the greatest of all temples, that of my heavenly home. And that was the one I was to strive to enter. After a week after that experience, I went to a park to relax and think. While there, something else was very interesting happened to me. I wrote it in my journal as a poem. I was amazed at the small face that peeped over my shoulders as I sat reading on the cool green earth. I love Black, the childlike voice uttered as she wrapped her tiny arms around my neck. I turned to smile into the shiny blue eyes that showed so much love. What are you doing? Were harsh words that interrupted what I was about to say. I turned to see a lady approaching. Rudely, she pulled the child away. I told you to stay away from those people. She continued as they quickly walked away. I looked to see the little helpless form wave a tiny hand of goodbye, and the eyes reflected a lack of understanding. Tears formed in my eyes, and quietly I whispered, not sure if it was a question, I am a child of God. I looked again at the tiny form, almost lost from view. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. I realized then that I would always be confronted with obstacles in this life, but I had to be strong and loving as a child. I finally bore my testimony in church one Sunday. It was the 4th of July in the bicentennial year, 200 years of freedom. At first, I wasn't going to bear my testimony, but towards the end of the service, I found myself unable to remain in my seat. At first, I stumbled for words, but then the words came tumbling out. My brothers and sisters, I wasn't sure if I should bear my testimony because of the hurt and resentment I felt this day. All around me, people have spoken of freedom. People's faces glow with the joy they feel for that freedom, but I don't know or feel that joy. I don't really feel a part of the freedom of this country celebrates, although I was born and raised here in America. My forefathers' blood and sweat helped build this country, and yet America has made me feel as though I don't belong here. I've noticed how many other races of people come to this country and are made welcome. I'm left to feel worthless. But that's all right, because I do have a joy inside me, and that's the joy of the gospel of Jesus Christ. It's a joy that no man can take from me. It's a joy that makes me feel loved and wanted each and every second of the day. Many times people look at me and frown and say unkind things simply because of the color of my skin. It's at times like these that my Father in heaven reaches out and puts his arms around me and gives me a fatherly squeeze full of love and full of forgiveness and full of strength to go on. I want each of you to know that I don't just know about my Father in heaven. I know him. Just as I love my Father in heaven, I have the same love for each of you. I may not know you each personally, but simply knowing that we all share the same Father in heaven is enough. I pray that someday we will truly come to love each other the way our Father in heaven loves us and wants us to love each other. And just as the prophet Joseph Smith promised us that if we remain faithful, all of our losses will be made up to us.